General Taehyun-jung stood in the command center watching his fleet tear itself apart. On the main screen, red dots marked ships loyal to Admiral Sang-min Park's Iron Fist movement. Blue dots showed vessels still following Earth Command. They were almost equal in number. "Sir," reported his aide, Major Kyung-soo Han, "the Iron Fist fleet is demanding we join them or be considered traitors to humanity." Taehyun closed his eyes. He had commanded human forces for 30 years, but never imagined he would face this choice. Follow Sang-min's path of total conquest, or remain loyal to a government that seemed weak in the face of galactic threats. "Send a message to all ships," he said finally. "Any vessel that fires on another human ship will be considered mutinous. We are soldiers, not rebels." But his words carried little weight. In the Tau Ceti system, 2 human destroyers exchanged fire over accusations of alien sympathy. 3 crew members died before other ships could intervene. The news spread through both fleets like poison. On Earth, Dr. Ji-won Lee's peace movement grew stronger each day. Protesters filled the streets of every major city, demanding an end to the war. Some were genuine pacifists, but others were funded by alien governments hoping to weaken humanity through internal division. "We've become everything our ancestors feared," Ji-won said during a broadcast from her laboratory. "We're conquering the galaxy not as liberators but as oppressors." Her followers called themselves Terran purists. They believed humanity should withdraw from galactic affairs entirely, abandoning their alien allies and returning to Earth's borders. Some went further, sabotaging military production facilities and leaking classified information to alien governments. President Young-soo Lee felt the weight of impossible choices. His military commanders demanded permission to use any means necessary against remaining hegemony forces. His daughter begged him to end the war before humanity lost its soul. Meanwhile, alien allies grew impatient with human indecision. War Chief Grakthor visited Earth personally, his massive form barely fitting in the presidential meeting room. "You humans are strange," he said in his rumbling voice. "You defeat enemies that my people could not find for centuries. Then you waste time arguing about mercy. Mercy is what separates us from them," President Lee replied. "And division is what will destroy you," Grakthor said. "The Vorthic Empire follows strength. If you cannot lead, others will." The warning proved prophetic. Across the galaxy, other species watched humanity's civil conflict with growing alarm. The Quillan Republic continued supporting Earth's government, but Premier Talus privately worried about humanity's stability. The crisis deepened when Intelligence Director Mi-young Choi made a terrible discovery. Hidden in the deepest hegemony files, she found evidence of Operation Final Peace, a plan to destroy galactic civilization itself. Ancient weapons, built by the first spacefaring races, lay hidden on 3 different worlds. If activated together, they would create an energy cascade that would destroy all advanced technology within 50 light years. Every ship, every space station, every planetary defense grid would simply stop working. "It's their final gambit," Mi-young explained to the Emergency Council meeting. "If they can't rule the galaxy, they'll reset it to pre-spaceflight civilization." The weapon components were scattered for safety. One lay hidden in a Vorthak military installation in the Vega system. Another was concealed beneath an academic research station at Proxima Colony. The third was buried in the administrative archives of the Galactic Core. "How long before they can activate the weapons?" President Lee asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3, Mi-young replied. "They need all 3 components synchronized. But once they start the process, nothing can stop it." The revelation forced humanity's fractured factions to confront a harsh reality. Their civil war had given the hegemony exactly what they wanted: time to prepare their ultimate weapon. If humans kept fighting each other, galactic civilization would end. Captain Jin Soo-kwon received the news aboard his stealth ship at the edge of hegemony space. His crew had been hunting the remaining conspiracy leaders for weeks, but now faced a much larger threat. "Sir," said Lieutenant Min-ju Park, "we're receiving communications from both Admiral Sang-min and President Lee. They both want our support." Jin-soo studied the tactical data about the ancient weapons. His ship could strike at 1 target, maybe 2 if they were lucky. But stopping all 3 would require coordination between the divided human forces. He made a decision that surprised everyone, including himself. Instead of choosing sides, he broadcast a message to every human ship in the galaxy. This is Captain Jinsu Kwan of the Ghost of Seoul. I'm transmitting from Ambassador Hyunwoo Park's grave on Harmony Prime. Look at this place. Look at what we're fighting for. The camera showed the simple memorial that marked where humanity's greatest diplomat had died. Fresh flowers lay at its base, tributes from dozens of different species who remembered his kindness. Ambassador Park died because he believed in a better future. Jinsu continued. Not human dominance, not alien submission, but cooperation. The hegemony killed him because that dream threatened their power. Now they want to destroy everything. Human, alien, all of us. His words reached every faction simultaneously. Admiral Sang-min watched from his flagship, his face hard with anger and grief. Dr. Ji-won listened from her laboratory, tears in her eyes. President Lee heard it in his office, surrounded by advisors demanding action. We can keep fighting each other while the galaxy burns, Jinsu said. Or we can honor his memory by finishing what he started. The choice is ours. The response wasn't immediate unity, but it was enough. Admiral Sang-min agreed to a temporary ceasefire, though he made clear it wouldn't last long. Dr. Ji-won's supporters stopped their sabotage activities, focusing instead on humanitarian aid. President Lee coordinated the largest military operation in human history. The plan required splitting human forces 3 ways, something that would have been impossible during their civil war. Admiral Sang-min's Iron Fist fleet would assault the heavily defended military installation in the Vega system. They were the most aggressive commanders, best suited for frontal assault. Dr. Ji-won's civilian volunteers would infiltrate the academic station at Proxima Colony. Her followers included many scientists and teachers who could blend in among researchers. They would disable the weapon through subterfuge rather than force. President Lee himself would coordinate the attack on the Galactic Core facility. It was the most heavily defended target, requiring diplomatic allies and careful timing. The old president wouldn't let others face the greatest danger while he stayed safe. The 3 missions launched simultaneously. At Vega, Admiral Sang-min's ships smashed through automated defenses with typical human aggression. His commanders used tactics that horrified alien observers but achieved rapid victory. Colonel Yoon Hae-song led the ground assault on the military base. Her Marines faced hegemony fanatics who fought with desperate fury. The battle was brutal and close range, decided by human determination rather than superior technology. The weapon is in the base's center, she reported over crackling radio. Heavy resistance, but we're pushing through. At Proxima Colony, Dr. Ji-won's team used scientific knowledge and cultural understanding to penetrate the research station. They posed as visiting academics using false credentials prepared by Intelligence Director Mi Young's agents. Dr. Woo Jin-ha, Ji-won's top researcher, led the team into the station's computer core. The hegemony weapon was disguised as a theoretical physics experiment, hidden among legitimate research projects. Beginning shutdown sequence, he reported. This is more complex than expected. Give me 10 minutes. In the Galactic Core, President Lee coordinated attacks by human, Vorthak, and Quillen forces. The administrative center was a massive space station orbiting the galaxy's central black hole. Its defenses were designed to protect the most sensitive government secrets. The battle raged across 3 star systems simultaneously. At Vega, Colonel Yoon-hee's Marines fought room by room through the military base. Hegemony defenders used suicide tactics, trying to buy time for their ultimate weapon. The weapon's charging, she shouted over explosions. If it reaches full power, we're all dead. She made the hardest decision of her military career. Instead of waiting for backup, she led a direct assault on the weapon chamber. Hegemony energy beams cut down half her squad, but the survivors reached their target. Yoon Hae placed demolition charges with her own hands, knowing the explosion would trap her in the collapsing base. Her final radio message was simple. Weapon destroyed. Tell my son I did my duty. At Proxima Colony, Dr. Woo Jin discovered that disabling the weapon safely was impossible. The hegemony had built-in fail-safes. Any attempt to shut it down would trigger an overload that could destroy the entire star system. I can prevent the cascade, he told Dr. Ji-won over their private channel, but someone has to stay behind to contain the energy release. Ji-won begged him to find another way, but time was running out. Woo Jin sealed himself in the weapon chamber and began the shutdown sequence, knowing he wouldn't survive the energy feedback. President Lee's assault on the core facility faced the heaviest resistance. Hegemony forces had prepared for months, turning the administrative station into a fortress. Admiral Sang-min Park stood on the bridge of his battleship Righteous Fury, staring at the holographic star map. Red dots marked hegemony strongholds across the galaxy. His brother Hyunwoo was dead, murdered by these shadow creatures. Sang-min wanted them all to pay. "Sir," said his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Do Yun Kim, "Earth Command is ordering us to hold position. They want to negotiate with the surviving hegemony cells." Sang-min's jaw tightened. "Negotiate?" "They killed a diplomat under a flag of truce. There's nothing to negotiate." His ship wasn't alone. 20% of the human fleet had joined him, commanders who believed that mercy was weakness. They called themselves the Iron Fist, humans who would never again let aliens threaten their people. On Earth, Dr. Jiwon Lee paced in her laboratory. She was President Young-Soo Lee's daughter, and one of humanity's leading experts on alien biology. The captured hegemony prisoners sat in cells below, waiting for interrogation. Some of her colleagues wanted to use drugs and torture to extract information. Jiwon opposed such methods. "We're becoming the monsters we claim to fight," she told her father during their daily video call. "If we use hegemony tactics, how are we better than them?" President Lee looked tired. The stress of managing a galactic war was aging him rapidly. "The galaxy respects only strength, Jiwon. If we show weakness now, more humans will die. And if we show brutality, we'll lose our souls," she replied. The argument reflected a growing split in human society. Citizens demonstrated in the streets of every major city. Some demanded total victory over all alien threats. Others called for an end to the war before humanity lost its humanity. Meanwhile, the galaxy itself was choosing sides. Premier Talus arrived on Earth aboard her flagship Quillen Pride. Her blue-skinned people had always been peaceful traders, but they loved Ambassador Hyunwoo for saving their mining colonies from pirates years before. "The Quillen Republic offers our full support," she told President Lee in a formal ceremony. "Our manufacturing capabilities, our raw materials, everything we have is yours." It was a generous offer. The Quillens might not be great warriors, but they could build ships faster than any other species. Their orbital factories could produce 100 vessels in the time it took human shipyards to build 10. War Chief Grakthor made a similar pledge. The Vorthak Empire's entire military machine would serve under human command. Their soldiers were the fiercest in the galaxy, trained from birth for battle. But other species reacted with alarm. The Ethereal Collective, whose civilization was older than human recorded history, saw humanity's rapid alliance building as dangerous ambition. Ambassador Lysander the Eternal spoke to the Galactic Council from his crystal throne. "Observe how quickly these humans gather power. They claim to seek justice, but they build an empire. Today they hunt the hegemony. Tomorrow, who will they hunt next?" His words found support among the galaxy's older species. The Crystalline Hierarchy, the Void Walkers, and the Silicon Collective all demanded that humanity be contained before they grew too powerful. The real test came at Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council's capital world. The planet was a symbol of interspecies cooperation, a beautiful world where representatives from all civilizations worked together for peace. Now it became a battleground. Hidden hegemony agents placed in government positions decades ago seized control of the orbital defense platforms. Within hours, the capital was under siege from its own defenses. Admiral Bo Ram Kim arrived with the main human fleet 3 days later. Nexus Prime hung in space before them, its orbital rings bristling with weapons designed to protect the galactic government. Those same weapons now threatened to destroy it. "Ma'am," reported Captain Jun-Ho Min from the Soul's Vengeance, "the hegemony is demanding safe passage off-world in exchange for releasing the hostages." Boram studied the tactical display. The orbital platforms were nearly impregnable, designed to withstand entire fleets. Traditional assault would cost thousands of lives, and might fail entirely, but humans didn't fight traditional battles. "Launch." "The swarm," she ordered. From the human ships poured clouds of small fighters, each one piloted by a single human. To alien eyes, it looked like madness, sending fragile craft against massive fortifications. But human pilots thought differently than alien tacticians. Commander Dongjun Bai led the fighter attack. His ship was tiny compared to the orbital platforms, but it was fast and unpredictable. While alien defense systems tracked large targets, the swarm of human fighters confused their sensors. "Scatter Pattern 7, Dongjun ordered over the radio. Remember, these platforms were built to fight fleets, not gnats. The human fighters swarmed around the orbital defenses like angry insects. They fired missiles at sensor arrays, used their small size to slip through defensive grids, and coordinated attacks that overwhelmed automated systems designed for more civilized warfare. Major Ye-Jin-O led the boarding parties. Her Marines used cutting tools to burn through platform hulls, then fought their way through corridors designed for alien physiology. Human soldiers were smaller than most galactic species, able to move through maintenance shafts and service tunnels that larger beings couldn't navigate. The battle raged for 6 hours. When it ended, Nexus Prime was free, but the cost was high. 40 human pilots died in the assault, along with 100 Marines. Their sacrifice saved thousands of alien civilians, but some questioned whether the price was worth paying. During the fighting, human intelligence discovered shocking evidence in the captured hegemony files. 3 members of the Galactic Council itself were secret hegemony supporters. For decades, they had sabotaged peace efforts and fed information to the conspiracy. The revelation shattered what remained of galactic unity. Species that had worked together for centuries suddenly couldn't trust each other. The Andromedan Trade Union withdrew from the Council entirely. The Stellar Commonwealth recalled all their ambassadors. The galaxy was falling apart. In the chaos, Admiral Sang-Min Park saw his chance. Against direct orders from Earth, he launched attacks on suspected hegemony sympathizers. His ship struck at 3 different worlds, capturing evidence but also destroying infrastructure and killing civilians caught in the crossfire. "You've gone too far," President Lee told him during an emergency communication. "I'm ordering you to stand down immediately." Sang-Min's face was hard as stone. "My brother died believing in galactic peace. Look where that faith got him. The only language these aliens understand is force. I won't let you start a war of conquest in my brother's name," Lee replied. "Then you're a fool," Sang-Min said, and cut the transmission. The human fleet split. Ships loyal to Earth Command pulled back to defensive positions. Ships following Sang-Min moved to attack formation. For the first time since the war began, human weapons pointed at other human ships. Dr. Ji-Won Lee watched the developing crisis from her laboratory. The hegemony prisoners in their cells below seemed less dangerous now than the hatred consuming her own people. Some of her followers began sabotaging war production facilities, believing that only by weakening humanity could they save it from itself. On distant worlds, human colonies found themselves caught between competing loyalties. Some joined Sang-Min's Iron Fist, demanding revenge against all aliens. Others supported Ji-Won's peace movement, calling for immediate ceasefire. Still others remained loyal to President Lee's government, believing in controlled military action. The aliens watched human civilization tear itself apart with a mixture of relief and horror. War Chief Grakthor, whose people respected strength above all else, couldn't understand how humans could fight each other when enemies surrounded them. "Your species is insane," he told Admiral Bo-Ram Kim during a strategy meeting. "You defeat your enemies, then defeat yourselves." Bo-Ram had no answer. She had spent her life fighting humanity's enemies, only to discover that humanity's greatest enemy might be humanity itself. Premier Tallis tried to mediate between the human factions. Her diplomatic skills were considerable, but even she couldn't bridge the gap between those who wanted peace and those who wanted total victory. Ambassador Park would be heartbroken, she told the assembled human commanders. "He died trying to build bridges. Now you burn them." But her words fell on deaf ears. The human fleet remained divided, brother against brother among the stars. The war that began with alien treachery now threatened to end with human self-destruction. In hidden bases throughout the galaxy, the remaining hegemony leaders watched and waited. Their plan was working perfectly. They had wanted to destroy human power by turning the galaxy against them. Instead, they had turned humans against themselves. Soon, the species that had threatened their ancient dominion would be too busy fighting each other to threaten anyone. The hegemony would rise from the ashes of human civil war, stronger than ever. They had underestimated human nature once before. They were about to do it again. The space station Harmony Prime floated in the darkness between stars. It was built to be neutral ground, where different alien races could meet and talk without fighting. The station had white walls and long corridors that curved like a wheel. Ships from 12 different worlds docked at its ports every day. Ambassador Hyunwoo Park walked through the main corridor, his black diplomatic uniform neat and clean. Other aliens moved past him, some tall and thin, others short and covered in scales. They all knew who he was. In 30 years, this human had stopped 7 wars just by talking. Most aliens still thought humans were new and stupid, but they respected Hyunwoo. "The Vorthak delegation is waiting in conference room 7, said his assistant, a young woman named Sojin. She carried a tablet full of meeting notes and translation programs. Hyunwoo nodded. "And the Quillen Republic?" "Already there." They seemed nervous. The meeting was important. 2 alien races wanted the same thing: mining rights in the Kepler Nebula. The Vorthak Empire was strong and loved to fight. The Quillen Republic was rich but peaceful. If they went to war, other races would pick sides. The whole galaxy could burn. Hyunwoo entered the conference room. The Vorthak delegation sat on one side of the long table. They looked like giant lizards wearing metal armor. Their leader, War Chief Grakthor, had scars across his face from old battles. His yellow eyes watched Hyunwoo with suspicion. On the other side sat the Quillen delegation. They looked more like humans but with blue skin and large heads. Premier Talus spoke in a soft voice, but her hand shook when she mentioned the disputed mines. "The Kepler Nebula belongs to us by right of discovery," Grakthor said. His voice was deep and threatening. "My ships found it first." "Your ships only found it because we gave you the star charts," Premier Talus replied. "In exchange for trade agreements you later broke." Hyunwoo raised his hand. Both delegations fell silent. This was his gift, making others listen even when they wanted to fight. "Gentlemen, ladies," he said in perfect galactic standard, "you both want the same nebula. You both have good reasons, but fighting will cost more than the mines are worth." For 3 days they talked. Hyunwoo listened to both sides. He asked questions that made them think. Slowly he built a new idea: a joint mining operation. Both races would work together and share the profits. It was brilliant. The Vorthaks would provide security and heavy equipment. The Quillens would bring their advanced technology and management skills. Everyone would win. On the 3rd evening, Grakthor actually smiled. "This human thinks differently than we do," he told his officers. "Perhaps that is not a bad thing," Premier Talus agreed. "Ambassador Park has found a path to peace. Our children will thank us." Hyunwoo felt proud as he walked back to his quarters. The agreement would be signed tomorrow. Another war prevented, another step toward galactic peace. His room was simple: a bed, a desk, and a small window showing the stars. Hyunwoo sat down to write his daily report to Earth. He wanted to tell President Young-Soo Lee about the successful negotiations. "They fear us not because we are violent," he typed on his personal communicator, "but because we refuse to accept that things cannot change. That terrifies them more than any weapon." He never finished the message. The door to his quarters opened silently. A figure in Vorthak military armor stepped inside. Hyunwoo turned, surprised. Before he could speak, the assassin fired a small dart into his neck. Pain exploded through Hyunwoo's body. He fell to the floor, his muscles burning like fire. The poison was Thralix's nerve toxin, banned throughout the galaxy because it caused such suffering before death. The assassin stood over him for a moment, then left without a word. Security cameras in the hallway caught the figure running toward the docking bays, but the armor hid their face. Hyunwoo died alone, his unfinished message still glowing on the screen. Sojin found his body the next morning. Her screams brought station security running. Within an hour, the news spread across Harmony Prime. By noon, it had reached Earth. Fleet Admiral Boram Kim was inspecting her battlecruiser Seoul's Vengeance when the message arrived. She was a tough woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had fought pirates and rebels across the galaxy. But when she read about Hyunwoo's death, her hands shook with rage. "Ma'am?" asked her aide, Captain Junho Min. "What are your orders?" Boram's first thought was to attack, load every weapon and strike back at whoever did this. But she was a professional. She followed the rules. "Send a message to Earth," she said. "Request permission to investigate." On Earth, President Young-Soo Lee called an emergency meeting. The Terran Council gathered in the underground bunker beneath Seoul. These were the leaders who had guided humanity since they joined the galactic community. Intelligence Director Mi Young-choi showed them the evidence: security footage of the Vorthak armor, chemical analysis of the poison, weapon fragments found in Hyunwoo's room. "It looks like the Vorthaks killed him," said Defense Minister Tai Hyun-jang. "But why? The negotiations were going well." Mi Young shook her head. "Dig deeper. Someone wanted those talks to fail, someone who benefits from chaos. She activated a holographic display. It showed a web of connections across the galaxy, secret meetings, hidden communications, suspicious money transfers. The hegemony, she said. We've been tracking them for years. Ancient species who think the galaxy belongs to them. They see humanity's rise as a threat. President Lee studied the data. The hegemony was real, but proving their involvement would take time. The galaxy wouldn't wait. Already the Quillen Republic was mobilizing their fleet. The Vorthak Empire denied involvement, but no one believed them. They wanted this, Mi-young continued. A war that weakens everyone while they seize power. Hyunwoo was getting too close to real peace. The vote was quick. Every council member raised their hand. For the first time in human history, Earth declared total war. Not just against the killers, but against the system that made such murder possible. Against the ancient powers who thought they could destroy human progress with Assassin's Blade. The message went out on all frequencies. President Lee's voice reached every human ship, every colony, every diplomatic station. They have taken our greatest peacemaker. They believe this will make us afraid, make us small. They are wrong. Today, humanity shows the galaxy what happens when you murder hope itself. In the depths of space, Admiral Boram Kim received her new orders. Around Earth, the greatest fleet in human history began to move. On distant worlds, human agents activated equipment hidden for decades. The galaxy had killed the man who brought peace. Now they would learn what humans brought instead. War was coming, and humanity would fight it their way. 6 months after the final battle, Fleet Admiral Boram Kim walked slowly through the rebuilt corridors of Harmony Prime. The space station had been repaired and expanded, becoming the headquarters of something the galaxy had never seen before, a truly unified government. The memorial to Ambassador Hyunwoo Park now stood in the station's central plaza. Representatives from 50 different species left flowers and offerings there every day. The man who died trying to prevent one small war had become the symbol of galactic peace. Boram paused before the memorial, reading the inscription one more time. Humanity learned that the greatest victory is not in conquering others, but in conquering ourselves. Admiral, said her aide, Captain Junho Min, the Council is ready for your report. The Galactic Council chamber had been redesigned after the hegemony crisis. Instead of the old circular arrangement that emphasized separation between species, the new layout brought everyone together around a single large table. Humans sat next to Vorthaks, Quillens beside Ethereals, former enemies now working as allies. At the head of the table sat President Young-Soo Lee in his wheelchair. The injuries from the core facility battle had left him permanently disabled, but his mind remained sharp. The galaxy's leaders had unanimously chosen him as the first chairman of the United Galactic Assembly. Admiral Kim, President Lee said, please give us your assessment of galactic security. Boram activated the holographic display. It showed star charts marking human fleet positions throughout the galaxy. The ships were different now. Mixed crews of humans and aliens working together, sharing technology and tactics. The former hegemony territories are secure, she reported. We've found no evidence of remaining cells or hidden weapons. The threat appears to be completely eliminated. War Chief Grakthor, now serving as defense minister, nodded approvingly. His scarred face showed satisfaction at a job well done. The Vorthak Empire stands ready to support galactic security operations, he rumbled. Premier Tallis smiled from her seat across the table. The Quillen Republic had become humanity's closest ally, their industrial might combining with human innovation to rebuild war-torn worlds. Our shipyards have completed the first batch of unified design vessels, she announced. Ships built by Quillen hands using human blueprints and Vorthak armor. But not everyone was satisfied with the new order. Ambassador Lysander the Eternal spoke for the older species who still feared human dominance. His crystalline form glowed with subtle displeasure. This assembly grants humans too much authority, he said, in his melodious voice. Your species has been spacefaring for less than a century. Why should you lead those of us who sailed between stars before your son was born? The question had been asked many times in the past months. President Lee's answer was always the same. We lead not because we are the oldest or strongest, but because we proved we could change. The hegemony failed because they could not adapt. We succeeded because we could. Dr. Jiwon Lee, now director of the Institute for Interspecies Understanding, stood to address the assembly. Her peace movement had evolved into something constructive, a network of schools and research centers dedicated to preventing future conflicts. "My father is right," she said. "But leadership isn't about giving orders. It's about service. Humans will lead by serving the galaxy's needs, not our own ambitions." Admiral Sang-min Park listened from his seat with the military advisors. The former rebel had been given a chance to redeem himself, accepting command of the Outer Rim Defense Force. His aggressive tactics were now directed against pirates and raiders instead of political enemies. "The galaxy's enemies test us every day," he said. "Raiders from beyond the rim, criminal organizations, species that reject the new order. We must remain strong." His words carried weight because everyone knew his story. Sang-min had nearly started a civil war in his grief and anger, but he had also helped save the galaxy when it mattered most. His journey from vengeance to justice inspired others who struggled with similar feelings. Intelligence Director Mi-young Choi presented her latest analysis of galactic stability. Her network of agents now included volunteers from dozens of species, all working to prevent the kind of conspiracy that had murdered Ambassador Park. "Information flows freely between our intelligence services," she reported. "The old practice of species keeping secrets from each other is ending. When everyone knows what everyone else is doing, conspiracies become much harder to maintain." It was a revolutionary concept. For millennia, galactic politics had been built on mistrust and hidden agendas. The new transparency made many species uncomfortable, but it was working. Crime rates had fallen by 60%. Interspecies disputes were resolved quickly through mediation rather than violence. The assembly session ended with the traditional moment of silence for those who had died in the war. Colonel Eun Hae-sung, Dr. Woo Jin-ha, and thousands of others had given their lives to create this new order. Their sacrifice would not be forgotten. After the meeting, Bo-ram walked to the observation deck where Captain Jin-soo Kwan was waiting. His stealth ship Ghost of Seoul was docked nearby, preparing for another deep space mission. "Any word from the exploration fleets?" she asked. Jin-soo smiled. "The Andromeda expedition found 3 new species last month, all peaceful, interested in trade and cultural exchange. We're following the Park protocols for first contact." The Park protocols were Ambassador Hyunwoo's gift to the future, detailed guidelines for approaching new civilizations with respect and patience. Instead of the old imperial model of conquest or conversion, the new galaxy offered partnership and mutual benefit. "My son commands one of the exploration ships," Bo-ram said with pride. Captain Min Ho-sung had followed his mother into military service, but his mission was discovery rather than destruction. On the edge of the galaxy, Min Ho's ship New Horizon detected unusual energy signatures from an unexplored star system. The reading suggested an advanced civilization, possibly the first truly alien intelligence humanity had encountered. "Take us in slowly," Min Ho ordered his mixed-species crew. "Remember, we're not conquerors or missionaries. We're neighbors introducing ourselves." The first contact would be different from the old days. No demands for submission, no threats of force if cooperation was refused. The new galaxy had learned that diversity made everyone stronger, that different perspectives solved problems no single species could handle alone. Back on Harmony Prime, President Lee met privately with his daughter in his office. The walls were covered with artwork from dozens of worlds, gifts from species grateful for the peace he had helped create. "I'm retiring after this term," he told her. "The galaxy needs younger leadership, people who grew up with the new order instead of fighting to create it." Jiwon wasn't surprised. Her father had aged rapidly during the war, the stress of command taking its toll, but his legacy was secure, a galaxy where different species worked together instead of against each other. "Who will replace you?" she asked. "The assembly will choose," Lee replied. "It might be a human, might be an alien. The important thing is that they'll be chosen for their abilities, not their species." That evening, the Galaxy Broadcasting Network aired a special program marking the first anniversary of the war's end. Species from across known space shared their stories of how the conflict had changed their lives. A young Vorthak soldier spoke about learning to fight alongside human marines, discovering that courage came in many forms. A Quillan engineer described the pride she felt building ships that protected everyone, not just her own people. An ethereal philosopher reflected on how human chaos had brought unexpected wisdom to ancient problems. The program ended with footage from the memorial service at Ambassador Park's grave. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds had gathered to remember the man whose death had nearly destroyed the galaxy, but whose life had ultimately saved it. President Lee spoke at the ceremony, his voice carrying across the stars through quantum communication arrays. Hyunwoo believed that any problem could be solved if people were willing to talk honestly and listen carefully. We honor him not with monuments of stone, but with the living monument of galactic peace. As the broadcast ended, viewers across the galaxy looked up at the stars with new hope. The future was uncertain, it always would be, but for the first time in galactic history, different species faced that uncertainty together. In the depths of space, exploration ships continued their missions, searching for new life and new civilizations. They carried with them the lessons learned in blood and fire, that strength without wisdom was tyranny, that isolation without understanding was death, and that true peace could only exist when all voices were heard and valued. The galaxy had been tested by the assassination of one good man. It had nearly failed that test, torn apart by fear and hatred and the ambitions of ancient powers. But it had also discovered something new, that different species could become something greater than the sum of their parts. On distant worlds, children who had never known war played together in mixed-species schools. Human children learned Vorthak honor codes while Vorthak youth studied human innovation techniques. Quillen engineering students worked with ethereal philosophers to solve problems neither could handle alone. General Tae Hyun-jang stood in the war room deep beneath Earth's surface. Red lights flashed on every wall. For 30 years, this room had been empty, waiting. Now dozens of officers hurried between computer stations, preparing for something the galaxy had never seen. "Activate Protocol Omega," Taehyun said into his communicator. Across human space, secret signals went out. On mining stations and trade posts, ordinary humans received messages on hidden devices. Scientists, merchants, teachers, people who had lived among aliens for decades suddenly revealed their true purpose. They were all spies. Agent Sujin Yang sat in a coffee shop on Centauri Station, the galaxy's biggest trade hub. She looked like any other human tourist, taking pictures and buying souvenirs. But when her communicator buzzed with the special code, she smiled. For 20 years, she had mapped every security system on the station. She knew which aliens were important, which ones had secrets, and which ones could be bought. Now all that patient work would pay off. Sujin walked to a maintenance tunnel she had discovered years ago. Hidden inside was equipment that could shut down the station's entire communication grid. With a few button presses, she cut Centauri Station off from the rest of the galaxy. Similar actions happened on 1,000 worlds. Human agents struck at the same moment, disrupting alien communications, stealing data, and preparing the way for what came next. Captain Jinsu Kwan floated in the darkness beyond the galaxy's edge. His ship, Ghost of Soul, was invisible to every known sensor. The aliens thought humans were crude and simple. They never imagined human technology could hide from their advanced scanners. Jinsu wasn't alone. 11 other stealth ships waited in the void, their crews ready for revenge. These vessels had been built in secret shipyards far from alien eyes. For 30 years, while the galaxy saw humans as eager newcomers, humanity had been preparing for war. "All ships, this is Ghost Leader," Jinsu said over the encrypted channel. "Target is the Phantom Nebula. Intelligence confirms the hegemony base is there. The base was supposed to be impossible to find. The hegemony had hidden it in a nebula that scrambled sensors and navigation. For centuries, galactic intelligence agencies had searched for it without success. But humans thought differently than other species. While aliens looked for the base with sophisticated sensors, humans had simply followed the money. Every secret organization needed supplies. Human accountants had tracked financial records for years, following tiny traces of unusual spending until they found the source. The 12 stealth ships jumped to hyperspace together. In 30 minutes, they would strike at the heart of the conspiracy that killed Hyunwoo Park. Colonel Yoon Hae Song checked her weapon one final time. She commanded the 1st Marine Battalion, the best soldiers humanity had ever produced. Her powered armor was painted black with silver trim. Unlike bulky alien equipment, human armor was sleek and fast. Remember, she told her troops over the radio, we want the leaders alive. Dead enemies can't tell us their secrets. The Marines loaded into assault shuttles. Each soldier carried weapons designed specifically to fight aliens. Humanity had studied every galactic species, learning their weaknesses and fears. Where aliens built defenses against energy weapons, humans brought bullets. Where they expected frontal attacks, humans planned ambushes. Ghost of Soul dropped out of hyperspace first. The Phantom Nebula stretched before them, purple and gold clouds hiding deadly secrets. Jinsu's sensors showed nothing, but he knew the base was there. Beginning scan pattern Delta, reported his science officer, Lieutenant Minju Park. She was young but brilliant, one of the best sensor operators in the human fleet. For 10 minutes they searched. Then Minju smiled. Got it. The base is using the nebula's magnetic field to power a cloaking device. Clever but not perfect. The hegemony base appeared on their screens. It was massive, a space station built into an asteroid bristling with weapons and defensive shields. According to intelligence reports, 50 hegemony leaders lived there, planning galactic conquest from their hidden fortress. All ships target acquired, Jinsu announced. Begin attack. The 12 stealth ships struck together. Their weapons were different from anything the galaxy had seen. Instead of energy beams or missiles, they fired kinetic rounds, simple metal projectiles moving at incredible speed. The hegemony shields were designed to stop sophisticated alien weapons. They couldn't handle chunks of iron traveling at 10% of light speed. Explosions ripped through the base's outer hull. Atmosphere vented into space as emergency sirens wailed. The hegemony had ruled from shadows for centuries, believing they were safe in their hidden fortress. Now humanity had found them. Colonel Yunhai's shuttle swooped through the holes blown in the station's armor. Her Marines poured out, their armor sealing against the vacuum of space. They moved fast, using jump jets and magnetic boots to navigate the damaged corridors. Hegemony guards rushed to meet them. The aliens were old and proud, members of species that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. But they had never fought humans before. Human tactics were chaos to alien minds. Where galactic warfare followed ancient rules of honor and procedure, humans improvised. They used explosives in narrow corridors. They attacked from above and below simultaneously. They fought dirty and won cleanly. Sector 7 secured, Yunhai reported as her team captured another group of hegemony leaders. Prisoners are alive but unconscious. The battle lasted 2 hours. When it ended, the mighty hegemony base was in human hands. 47 of the galaxy's most dangerous criminals sat in restraints, waiting for interrogation. But Jinsu had found something even more valuable than prisoners. The base's computer core contained decades of secret records, plans for galactic conquest, lists of alien agents, evidence of a conspiracy that reached into every major government. My God, whispered Lieutenant Minju as she read the files. They've been planning this for centuries. The records showed everything. How the hegemony had started wars between other species. How they had assassinated leaders who threatened their power. How they had slowly positioned themselves to take control when the galaxy tore itself apart. Yunwu's murder was just the beginning. The hegemony wanted humanity, and the other species, to destroy each other. Then they would emerge as the only power left standing. Back on Earth, President Young-Soo Lee read the captured intelligence with growing anger. The hegemony files proved that the Vorthax were innocent. Someone had stolen their armor and used it to frame them for the assassination. The real killers were ancient aliens who saw any change as a threat to their power. Send this data to every government in the galaxy, he ordered. Let them see who their real enemy is. But the galaxy was already choosing sides. The Quillan Republic had declared war on the Vorthak Empire. 3 other species had mobilized their fleets. Fear and suspicion spread like poison through the galactic community. On Vorthak Prime, War Chief Grakthor received the human intelligence data. His advisors urged him to ignore it, to prepare for the coming war with traditional enemies. But Grakthor was old and wise. He had fought many battles and seen many enemies. He recognized truth when he saw it. Summon our fleet commanders, he ordered. We have been played for fools. It is time to choose our real allies. The message went out from Vorthak Prime on all frequencies. The Vorthak Empire offers alliance to humanity. Together we will hunt the true killers of Ambassador Park. Premier Talus of the Quillan Republic made a similar announcement. Her people had loved Hyunwoo like a brother. If humans said the hegemony was responsible, the Quillans believed them. But not everyone was convinced. The ethereal collective, oldest of all galactic species, saw humanity's rapid strike as proof of their dangerous nature. Ambassador Lysander the Eternal spoke to the galactic news networks. These humans claim to seek justice, but look at their methods. They attack in secret, break ancient laws of warfare, and now demand we trust their evidence. They are chaos incarnate, a threat to galactic stability. The galaxy began to split. Some species rallied to humanity's cause, believing the evidence about the hegemony conspiracy. Others feared human power and called for their containment. The careful balance that had maintained peace for centuries shattered like glass. Admiral Bo-Ram Kim watched the developments from her flagship. Around her, the human fleet grew larger every day as ships returned from their secret missions. The Soul's vengeance was no longer alone. 100 warships now followed her command. "Ma'am," reported her communications officer, "we're receiving surrender offers from 12 hegemony cells. They're afraid." Bo-Ram smiled without humor. Good. Fear was useful. For too long, the galaxy's ancient powers had thought themselves untouchable. Now they learned that humanity could reach anywhere, strike anyone, and win any fight. But victory brought new problems. With the hegemony exposed, other species looked at humanity with new eyes. Some saw potential allies. Others saw the next threat to galactic peace. The real war was just beginning.